welcome to Nightfall.Drives. Doug here, and today I had a lovely time in a 2008 Aston Martin V8 Vantage N400. I'll just turn the exhaust off for a minute. Thanks to my pal James from the channel JayEmm on Cars, I find myself in this N400 Roadster. He swapped with my Lotus Evora S for a couple of weeks. I think he just wanted to see what it's like to live with that for a bit. And he's very kindly agreed to let me use this. It's a bit of a fairer swap, I think, than the previous one. And I stitched him up and left him our Volvo C30 in exchange for the DB9 last autumn, so this feels a bit fairer to me. But anyway, why was I particularly interested in the V8 Vantage? Well, for a long time this was my dream car, my motivation. I had a poster of a green one, a lovely mid-green you can get, and that was 10 years ago or something, and it was my plan to get my first nice car, proper nice car. I've had a string of MX-5s since then to now, but this was the motivation for you know, working a bit harder and getting something a bit special. I think it was mainly based on how it looks.
It doesn't look wrong from any angle.
And its initial reputation of being a 911 rival.
Have you just ordered a Porsche 911 recently?
I've never been obsessed with 911s. I now more and more appreciate them. But I think I fell for the looks of this, and it was the target for a while. So it's nice now to, you know, many years later, to visit what might have been and compare to where I've ended up instead. So what is the Vantage? I think everyone knows, but it's the baby Aston, the mid-range sports car, which you can put against the likes of, I don't know, Ferrari California potentially, Jaguar F-Types, Maserati, Gran Turismos, various things in this bracket, I guess. But initially this was supposed to be a mid-engine car. The first designs for the Vantage happened pre-DB9, and Ian Cullum had sketched a mid-engine variant for this part of the market, and I'm actually quite sad that didn't happen. In the end, I think they realised the DB7 needed replacing sooner rather than later, and they designed the DB9 first, or finished it first, came back to the Vantage, and the new management decided engine's got to be at the front for an Aston, so they switched it around. This is what we ended up with. And I've got to say, it's not really what I was expecting. I've had it a week or so now, had it for a day, and then I did one of my advanced driving lessons or sessions in the car, which I'm doing mainly in my Lotus Evora S. So I thought it'd be interesting to try a different car, and once I've worked out how to edit hour-and-a-half sessions down to watchable length, that I'll be releasing a series on the advanced driving course. But I did find it a bit tricky for that. The clutch is very odd. The biting point is really high, and the trouble, as soon as you put any sort of pressure there, the clutch is operating, and then there's a load of dead trouble after that. So that took a bit of getting used to, and the heel of your shoe is not, when you start using it, it is now, but when you start using it, it's hard to use it with your heel on the floor, and it's a bit difficult to modulate. And then the handbrake is a fly-off type thing. It's not technically a fly-off, but it is. It's not technically a fly-off handbrake, but it operates a bit like that, where it drops out of the way, and then you have to pull it up to then press the button to lower it. So it's all took a bit of getting used to. On some better roads now. But the clutch and handbrake aside, the main thing about this car that I wasn't expecting was how it feels. It feels immediately just like a slightly smaller DB9. And I wasn't expecting that. Maybe I'm a bit out of touch, but I was expecting a focused, dialed-in sports car. But what it seems to feel like, with the expanse of the dash, kind of very set back position, particularly the heavy steering, slow and heavy steering, it feels like a cruiser, and very much closer to the DB9 than anything else I've ever driven. So I thought I'd bring it out today, see if these first impressions are right, because this is a very highly rated car, will always be a beautiful car, and this particular version is a bit of a sweet spot in the range for value as well. And I find, yeah, the steering is a bit slow and heavy. There is overwhelming air of sort of more luxury GT in here than sports car, but the more you push on, the better it gets. So let's get that exhaust back. That is just naughty. I'd have to dial that back a bit if I had it, but it is fun. So the big test for this is this road here. Quite a rough surface, a little bit twisty. And to be honest, the road holding is very good. It's not an Evora, that's the best, this side of a McLaren. It copes very well with the bumps. And just back to the steering, it is quite slow and heavy. And another reason I wasn't expecting that was because this car has a transaxle layout. Yes, there's a big engine at the front, but it's far back in the chassis, gearbox at the back, and it's actually got a 51% rear bias. So I thought the front end would feel a bit lighter. But no, there's a few little bends here. And you have to tell it, you have to say to it, I want to chuck you in here. And it responds. But it's almost encouraging you not to, at least in comparison to the Evora and the Mazda, the cars are more, you're used to. It feels like this just wants to cruise rather than go it's flung around a bend like that Cayman. Another thing being transaxle, I realised obviously the gear mechanism involves some cables because the gearbox is at the back, so you might think it's right here, front engine rear drive tend to have the best gearboxes, and that's definitely the case with my two cars. Mazda's superb. The Evora, I've got it to a better place, but I'm going to upgrade to a Dolomite shifter in the autumn because there's a bit of slop in the mechanism at the front. And speaking of that, this does have a little bit of vagueness. It's very good, but it's not as good as when the gearbox is right here. And the position of the gear lever is a little bit odd. It's a little bit awkward to go quickly through the gears. Your elbow's on here, and yeah, it's just a little bit of an awkward position. So if you are trying to push on in this, it kind of needs your effort, if you know what I mean. And that is a bit rewarding when you get it right, but it's just an element I wasn't expecting with this car. And if I got my expectations right, yeah, it's a fabulous cruiser that you can have fun in. James has taken it to Austria recently, and I imagine that it'd be a great car for that. But I'm gonna go down one of my favourite S-Bends around the corner, see how it handles that, and then I might park up with the coffee and have a look at it and just reflect on, okay, have I made the right choice where I've ended up with the Evora and the MX-5, as opposed to my sort of attainable dream that this was for so long. So here we go. We'll push on. We'll turn on the exhaust as well. Why not? Particularly as one of the houses around here has been known to have loud parties. But, you know, that's nothing to do with my choice. Here we go. See how it deals with these. Good. It's good, but it's like a DB9. It's a lot like a DB9 through there. The balance, the grip. That means it's a fabulously capable and fun car. But you do have a sense of solidity and mass at the front end, which might be what people, some people are looking for, but for me, I'm so spoiled with the Lotus, the way it's so keen to turn in, so light on the front end, you feel everything that's going on, and it offers so much. You know, that it's got more space than this car as well. It's got a better ride. Yes, the interior in here, if you're trying to impress somebody, maybe, you know, the Swiss watch style dials and switchgear might be what you're looking for. But the Evora interior, I'm very happy with the Series 1, the Alcantara. Plenty of space. The seats are amazing. These seats are pretty nice as well, but it's personal taste, isn't it? I think I made the right choice. Yeah, I'll go and get a coffee now, sit down, have a look at this thing, and try and work out some sort of conclusion. Certainly having a lot of fun today. Well, lovely flat white. In case you're wondering, it's not my house, this is Rest Park. Apparently a place that was used for recovering soldiers after World War I, so literally a rest home. But yeah, great spot to sit with a coffee and work out what I think of the Vantage. I think I've made the right choice in the end. I've ended up with the Evora and MX-5. The Evora came back quite quickly, getting that and realising what it had to offer. This still has loads to offer, and I've fortunately got space and means to have two frivolous or non-daily cars. If it was down to one, then one special car I think this would make a lot of sense, and it really is special. But it turns out, yeah, quite different to what I expected. Yeah, I think I've been a bit spoilt with sort of Lotus handling and feeling a bit more of that excitement more of the time. But anyway, thanks so much to James for another exchange. It's been great. By the way, if you like, YouTube, automotive YouTube stuff, check out, if you haven't already, the Behind the Glass podcast with James as a guest. Really interesting conversation with Sam and Tony. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to finish this, pack up, head home, look forward to the next adventure. See you again.